We're going live. I see the spinning circle. We are live. There it is. You are live. All right. So we know we're there. We know we're there. Welcome to Tuesday, Wendy. Glad to have you here again.
Good to be here.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, everybody, we'll let some people hop on. I know we've got some people following us on YouTube. We're now on YouTube. You can watch us live on YouTube. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below and the little bell to make sure you're alerted when we go live or a new episode comes up that you don't want to miss. And this is the Money Moves live stream, right? It's all about teaching people about money. Oddly enough, we don't get that education when we go to school or anything like that. And so we're left to kind of figure it out on our own. And unfortunately, most of it, especially in middle America, we don't. We just kind of hope it all works out. So Winnie and I kind of collaborated and decided, hey, we need to bring this out to Main Street America and say, this is how money works so you can apply it to your lives. And so we're all about showing people how to make money, how to increase their savings on money and start building that nest egg, stacking dollars, call it whatever you will. And then also how to grow it. You know, there's a lot of different ways and strategies you can build wealth and have your money making money for you, which is what you want. And then lastly, it's always not about how much money you make and save. It's about how much money you actually get to keep. So we show you how to keep it from taxes and market loss and stuff like that. But today we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I wanted to go a little deeper dive. I got some good feedback on that show we did on, different ways to increase your income and your cash flow, things like that. But I want to talk specifically today on how to create multiple streams of income. And obviously, Wendy's a co-host here, but she's the queen of making an income, right? Making multiple incomes. And so you've heard about that 7 streams of income. That's what the average millionaire has. And most of us are out there trying to figure it out on one. But let's open it up, Wendy. I mean, let's talk about some of the benefits of multiple streams, and obviously then we'll go into more of kind of what you can do. But what are your thoughts on all this, Wendy?
Yeah, I mean, I was the career corporate ladder climber, and it wasn't until I went to a wealth building seminar put on by Damon John of Shark Tank, and he said their team said you can't build wealth with a salary job. You have to have multiple streams of income and learn how to create residual income. So then I was like, well, how do you do that? That was my first time ever hearing anything like that. Now I've been in this so long, I feel like everyone knows what residual income is. Everybody knows how to create multiple streams of income, but that's not the case, right? No. So we're here to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, I started by adding one extra stream of income by starting a side hustle, which I know you did as well. Mm-hmm. And now I've learned, I mean, I think technically I probably have, now not all of them are huge, but I probably have 7 or 8 streams of income.
Nice. Yeah, that's, I'm not there yet. That's awesome.
Like I said, they're not all giant, right? Affiliates for different things. And we can talk about what that looks like. But still, it's fun to have money kind of popping up. Mm-hmm. Wherever, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's really the whole kind of premise. That's what really that first thing that drives people on creating another stream of income is, hey, I need some more money. Right. It's not, I want to go out and start a company. I mean, some people do, don't get me wrong. I mean, you look at different people and they all travel different journeys and roads, but that first thing is, hey, I need some extra money. So, traditionally speaking, a lot of people, my dad did this in retirement. He went out and got a job at Lowe's, or I guess I shouldn't say that, at a hardware store. Yeah. He liked it, but he only wanted to work a few hours. And of course they wanted to put more and more on. He's like, hey, I'm retired. That's not what I wanted to do. So it's that freedom piece. You got to find the right thing. But, some of the other benefits of creating a second stream of income, number one, it allows you to become or get on that path to financial freedom much faster. Right. Because of that extra money, you're able to pay off bills or maybe take those trips and travel a little bit more, and things like that. And then, that kind of creates another entity of and of itself to where you can eventually, if it does become your part-time gig, becomes your full-time thing, if you will, you can quit your job. And that's really what, I strive to do when I started doing my thing. And I was like you, right? I was in corporate America for a while, had a great career, but, I was always looking over my shoulder with layoffs. I was in banking, very volatile. And I never really had the freedom. I was on the road a lot and things like that away from my family. So it was one of those that I needed something else, but you got to take, kind of a step backward to take 2 steps forward kind of thing. And, then the extra money came in, and that's what my wife and I did. We used it to pay off credit cards and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, all of a sudden you could breathe and things like that. But, some of the other aspects are, it does enable you to become full-time in your own thing.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of another benefit. And depending on what you do, there's also some tax benefits too. So I said a lot there. But what are some of the other benefits a side gig or extra income do you think could help people? I mean, what do you think some of the other benefits are that I may be missing?
I mean, my biggest thing was, I have a child knocking on the door. I'm sorry. Hold please.
That's all right. That's what live is all about, right? That's what live is all about. Well, but that right there is a prime example of one of the things I looked at when making my side thing my main thing, is the fact that I have that freedom and flexibility. Just like yourself, I work from home, right? I've got an office in downtown Nashville, but I'm not there because of the Zoom situation, with COVID and whatnot. So, that freedom and flexibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as my 4-year-old was knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Is that for me, like you, I worked full time. I traveled a lot. I was on a plane Monday, came back Thursday, gone a lot of times on the weekend for conferences and expos that we did. So I felt like, I made decent money. It was my best paid job in my corporate career, that last one, but it took me away from my family all the time, and literally missed my kids growing up. So for me, I started my side hustle as a way to pay off debt and to have something to do when I was bored in hotel rooms at night or sitting on an airplane.
Yeah.
And then I started to see other people making more money than I made in my corporate job doing that. And I was like, well, man, if I could make that happen, I need to make it happen. Right. And so, it changed our lives, because now, granted, I didn't choose to walk away from my corporate job. I got laid off, but I got laid off with a smile on my face because I knew I had a plan. And there's no such thing as job security, by the way.
There isn't. I bought into that lie for years, thinking, oh, okay, and I got laid off 3 times over my career, and that in and of itself. And if you've ever been through a layoff, for the viewers out there, I mean, that's an extremely stressful situation. And that's another thing that a side gig, if you will, or another stream of income, create that parachute for you. So it's not quite as hard of a landing. Hey, at least I've still got some money coming in. And so I think you're exactly right. I mean, it's a lot of people enter the self-employed world that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just thankful I had something building. It wasn't big at that point, but it was a common paycheck every month. It was something building in the background. And so when I lost my job, I didn't have that fear. It gave me the push to really go for it. And so, yeah, I started, and by my 3rd year in, my business, I was making double what I did in my corporate career, and working, a fraction of the time, and able to, work around my life, my job, around my family, instead of the other way around, not my job, my work. And so, and then, as time goes on, you go, okay, like I always say, like starting, for instance, in network marketing, it's like personal development with a comp plan attached, because you have to grow so much. It's not like you go in and people are like, here's what you do, here's your job, right? I mean, you really have to work on yourself in leadership and sales and marketing, and take on all these different roles. And it really kind of pushes you into expanding your mind. And that's what I found for me, is all of a sudden I was like, you know what? People are asking me for advice on different things. I could start to monetize this, right? So I talk about a lot that, there's so much genius in your life that you can monetize. And so that's what I started doing, and creating other things that I can create one time and charge repeatedly for, or coaching, and just selling my expertise. And the best way to learn is from someone else that's already done something, right? People say you learn best by making the mistakes, right? I'd like to learn from other people's mistakes so I don't have to go through it all.
No kidding. I mean, that's when it helped me avoid the potholes in life.
Right.
And that was, how I ended up doing what I'm doing. I mean, I was looking for some kind of a franchise model or something like that, but I knew I needed somebody to show me the ropes. and show me the ropes also includes, here are the potholes to avoid, right? I mean, and a lot of people may think, we'll talk about some of the reasons people don't take action and do this, or don't kind of challenge themselves to be, hey, I can start a side business, or I can do it. And you don't have to go out and start a business, folks. I mean, that's, you can go out and work with somebody else, like myself, when you're whoever. You can go out and get a little side job, but you've got to ask yourself, what's the time trade versus the money. I mean, you see a lot of these, and I think there's a revolution going on right now in the employment world. In the traditional job, you've had people pushing for, the $15 an hour minimum wage, and I'm not going to get into all the politics of it, but I think COVID and what's gone on with COVID has really created an awakening, if you will, of what's really important in life.
Right.
Is it chasing the almighty dollar? Kind of that, I think back to that movie Wall Street from back in the 90s or maybe late 80s or something like that, with Charlie Sheen and whatnot. Everybody was chasing the almighty dollar. And I had somebody, a coach that I had on the personal side, ask me the question. He goes, John, when is it enough? Mm-hmm. What's enough? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, what's your financial end game? When is it enough? And I'm like, and maybe I'm just absent-minded or whatever, but it really kind of put me on my heels a little bit, because I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I've got a financial plan, obviously that's what I do about retirement and stuff like that. But as far as growing a business or making money, and that's really kind of looking at what you want out of a side gig is too. What are you looking for? And is it just extra money, or do you have a strategy or things like that? And kind of that game plan of what are you trying to accomplish here? And if it's just extra money, great, then you can go find it. And there's a lot of places hiring right now. I mean, a ton of places. Everywhere. Yeah. And some are doing signing bonuses. I saw literally there was a McDonald's here in town giving a bonus just to show up to the interview, $50, right? And, now they're offering free food. Not that you want to work at McDonald's, but for a side gig, hey, if you're just looking for extra money, who cares? But that other aspect of it is, looking at your job. And there was a Gallup poll done a couple of years ago, and like 85% of people in their employee or that are employees are unhappy. Unhappy, they don't like it, and 62% of them are just completely detached mentally from the job. I mean, it goes back to, why do you want a side gig or whatever? It may be an escape plan or a parachute or a backup plan or whatever, but if you're not happy, find something something that makes you happy. And that kind of ties into, what do I do if I want to, I want to start a little side thing, or maybe do a store on, Etsy, or if I'm saying that correctly, or even reselling stuff on eBay and things like that. I mean, I'm here to tell you folks, there is a bunch of money out there. Mm-hmm. Money is not in shortage. The challenge, or what's in shortage, is your knowledge on what to do or where to go to get it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you start surrounding yourself with other people that are entrepreneur minded and things like that, or following people like us on money moves or things like that, or not even us. I mean, you can be anybody, but just, again, you'll get better value here, just saying. But, looking at what can I do to make money? I mean, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of ways to make money. And I think sometimes you dip your toe in and figure out, it might take you a little bit to figure out what you like.
Yeah.
Right. There's things I've done that made me a lot of money that I absolutely hated. Right. So you don't want to trade one, dislike for another. But, figure out truly what your passions are like. And that's where I would start, is what value do I bring naturally anyway to people? Like, what do people, if you ask, a handful of your friends, where do I add the most value in life? Like, where do I bring value? Where do you feel like I'm, skilled? And, the answers might surprise you, right? Because a lot of the times the things we think that are just normal for everyone, we're actually gifted at, right?
Yeah.
Because things come natural to us. But asking people around you, and then start doing research. Like, if you're really passionate about health and wellness, there's a million health and wellness companies out there that you can get involved in, that you can rep their products and get other people, right? Health coaches. If you like, technology and creating, we talked about this before, but like Excel documents, like you can do that. If you like bookkeeping, if you like whatever, if you like finance, get with John. If like anything that you're passionate about, that you feel like, I would love to help people in this area, I guarantee there's somewhere you can plug in and to a company that's already existing, but you can be a contract employee, or you can learn how to build a business from the ground up yourself. And then don't be afraid to try things out. Because, I think it's funny. I was talking to someone the other day who started a side hustle, and she's been doing it for years, but she's never made money. And she's like, I just don't want people to think that I'm wishy-washy if I try something else. I'm like, no, like in jobs, right? When we're working in the corporate world, we're job hopping until we find a fit for us, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why it becomes so taboo, like in the, side hustle world, that if you want to try something new, but you absolutely like take your time, interview people, and just ask. I mean, John and I both have a ton of resources of people you can go look at and find. And like I said, if you're passionate about makeup, if you're passionate about hair care, whatever.
Whatever.
Women, the guys probably aren't passionate about either of those, but we can help plug you in somewhere. But I think personally, a network marketing or direct sales model is the easiest entry, where everything's already set up for you, or like the financial business you're in, or even, another thing that people get into is real estate, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then like most things, I would suggest you start off kind of sticking your toe in the water, right?
Yeah.
To try it on for size. The last thing you want to do is, you've heard the old story about, hey, jumped out of the frying pan into the fire, right? And that's kind of what I see is, hey, I'm going to do this, and they're seeing, people just jump from one thing to the next. Stick your toe in the water. I mean, keep your main thing until you find something that you like, and that's a great way. Ask yourself, what am I good at? What do people ask me about? And it may be whatever. You're good at giving nature hikes, the outdoors or whatever else. Fine. Look at a side gig at a park, or start your own business of, guiding hikes in public parks and things like that, pointing out trees or whatever. It may be that, hey, I like making soaps and as my spare time. You go to all these places, these little craft markets and things like that, or farmers markets, you see people selling their soap left and right. That stuff's great, right? And I talked about that before too. And you look at, or maybe it's something that I want to make an impact, and that was my thing. I wanted to make an impact in people's lives, not just an income.
Yeah.
And so I had a background in money, in, finance and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, that's great for me, but how can I help the next person, sitting next to me? And that's where I started, I started doing volunteer work for Crown Financial Ministries, and that evolved into what we're doing today. But it was all kind of that evolutionary journey of what am I passionate about, and what do I want? Because what I want may be different from you completely, right?
Right.
Like you said, I'm not into makeup and stuff like that. That's okay. It's just not my thing. But there is something for everybody out there, and it's all about finding the right thing and finding what you do. So you made a comment about people being afraid. So let's talk about, okay, if money's everywhere and there's all this stuff out there, why doesn't everybody just do it? What's holding people back? What are some of the things that we hear, that you hear, that hold people back from doing stuff?
One big thing is just lack of clarity, right? So not knowing what you want to do, and the fear of wasting time trying to figure it out, right? I think, the objections I get from people a lot of times are, I don't have enough time to try something else, which my question always back is, what is your plan for that? When will you have enough time? Is life getting busier for you, or slower, right? Because typically when we're busy, right, that's all about prioritization. It has nothing to do with how much time you have, because we all have 24 hours in a day. So I would say, let's look at your priorities. And if you're looking for a side hustle, or you need extra income, maybe your priorities are out of line, right?
Yeah.
So
you're right. Let me just jump in on that. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big time commitment either. Right. And that's the beautiful thing about side hustles, is you're setting your own schedule in most cases, right? It's not something where you've got to be at a place from, 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock every night, or whatever the case may be. So you've got the ability to kind of have that flexibility. But you're right. I think that's nailed right on the head. It's the priorities, because I guarantee your favorite show comes on, you're there right now. Streaming is not so much, but you get the point I'm trying to make. If there's something going on at school with the kids, you're there. But unless you make a change, and everything that you want worth of value, in life comes at a cost. and that cost has to be paid in full and paid up front. And part of that is organizing and you know, creating the time and scheduling that time. Doesn't have to be a lot of time, but you're right, you have to schedule it. Go
And
ahead.
it's not the hours that you put in, it's what you put in the hours that count.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. So I think time is a big objection. I think money, right? Money to get started. A lot of things cost a little bit of money up front, right? Even, you know, if you want to create your own course, right? I have my own courses and I have to pay for the website to host my courses, right? There, no matter what you do, there's going to be some upfront cost, whether it's getting certified, right? Real estate, people say, oh, you know, it's funny because I hear people say a lot, oh, I don't want to start, you know, network marketing because I don't have the money for like, you know, $500,000 kit. And then they're like, I think I'm going to look at real estate. I'm like, do you know how much that is? Right?
Well, exactly. And that's, you know, I see that with putting money away all the time too. I don't have enough money to save, but I'll go out and buy $2,000 worth of Bitcoin and hope it works out or whatever the case may be. It's just, you know, again, it goes back to priority.
Right.
You know,
so, you know, and I say this too, like how many of us have walked into Target, especially the ladies, walked into Target for paper towels and you come out spending $250, right? You can pay for what you prioritize. Again, it's a matter of priority. So I think, you know, the other thing that is, you know, people are afraid to learn. They think maybe it's too late to learn new things, you know, afraid of technology, you know.
I was that guy for a while. Not anymore.
Yeah, afraid of like, you know, I hear, oh, I'm not a salesperson or I'm not this or I'm not that, right? So I would say stop focusing on what skills you don't have, focus on what you do have and learn or hire out the rest.
Yeah. Then that's a great point right there. And I was going to bring up that, you know, I don't want to do sales because I hear that a lot in what we do, you know, in financial planning, but I'm, you know, my response to that is we're not really selling. I mean, yeah, there's sales involved, but we're selling every day. I mean, you sold your job or your employer, your skill sets when you did the interview, right? That was a selling process. You sold your significant other, the fact that you were the A game, you know, and not the B squad, right? That's why they're with you. So it's one of those that, you know, we all sell to some degree in life, but it's again, finding out what you're good at and what you like to do. And you're right. If you have a weakness in an area, you know, what am I good at? And that would probably start with the Ben Franklin list, you know, pros and cons. What am I good at? What do I struggle with? And what do I want to do? And where do those feed? And if you got a couple weak areas, you know, one of the big things I just talked about was technology, right? And so what did I do? I found people that I could bring in, again, side giggers, right? If you wanted to use that term, that were doing this. And I'm like, hey, I need help in this area. You know, what would it cost to kind of have some coaching and stuff like that? And, you know, I've got you for the social media aspect I've been working with. You know, a year ago, I would have never dreamed that we would have this show going live. Oh, I can't do this. You know, I'm afraid and and all the stuff that I hear all the time, I was regurgitating to myself, but you can get past that. You know, watching this right now can get past that. And it's a lot easier than you think. And, you know, again, going back to starting with a plan, figuring out what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. What am I good at? What do I have that I could monetize? You know, whether it's, you know, again, selling stuff on your own on Etsy or whatever the case may be, your own little store or farmer's market, or getting a side gig, you know, or looking at something like network marketing. I mean, that's kind of where I jumped in. I know you've done that as well, and it's been you know, I heard all that. Oh man, it's this, that, or the other. It is what it is. That's where Wendy said earlier. You know, I love that. Go through an interview process with people, right? If you're gonna trade your time to learn a trade, and you're gonna have to trade your time to make extra money. It's just a, you know, point of being, especially getting started out. Now you can evolve into something else, but do the interview process, right? I mean, that's how you find out where you're gonna get with like-minded people. Get aligned in something that you can back something that, hey, I can back this. I believe in it. I want to do this. Right.
Yep. And, you know, a real quick note about network marketing, because I truly believe network marketing's, like I said, one of the easiest entry points to entrepreneurship that there is. It's like business in a virtual box. You can click a button, sign up, and have a business at your fingertips without shipping, without supply chain management, without, you know, product development, without any of that stuff. You can have a business at your fingertips. And, you know, and it's just a distribution channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you hear like, oh, pyramid scheme, oh, this, that, right?
Yeah.
So two things I want to say. One is every single business is a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah.
It's just a distribution channel, not a supply chain, a distribution channel. So with network marketing, it's manufacturer to distributors to end users, right?
Mm-hmm.
With, I used to work for a big sports nutrition company that sells all over the place, right? In stores. Well, I was a salesperson for the manufacturer who sold to distributors, who sold to shops, who sold to end users, right? No matter what business you're in,
Mm-hmm.
there is a distribution channel. Network marketing is literally just a different distribution channel.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is I hear a lot of times people say, oh, a lot of people fail in that. A lot of people don't make money in that. And I want to tell you that a lot of people don't make money in anything they do as an entrepreneur, right? A lot of people fail at entrepreneurship, period. I mean, how many restaurants in your town, John, have you seen, open and close, right? How many people say they're going to do something and never do it? I mean, failure is like the norm. It's the norm in any area that you're in, right? In any business that you're in.
And you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And it's all about how you look at it, though. And I think a lot of people mistakenly look at failure as I failed. I'm not good enough. I didn't do it, and that's not what it is. Failure is part of the learning process. And I've heard the analogy when you were a baby, right? When you first stood up to take your first steps, you did a face plant. Most of us did. 99.9% of us did, folks. But you didn't stop trying to learn how to walk, right? And so we all figured it out. You just you failed forward, right? And that's the beauty. I mean, Thomas Edison, I've heard that analogy 100 times. He invented, 900 different ways to not make a light bulb. And then he finally figured it out. And that's what he's remembered for. And that's what, it may be in a business, and you hear a lot of different things about this thing or that thing being a pyramid or whatever. And it's all bunkus, right? It's a situation where do your homework, because there are some good people out there and there's some bad people out there, just like in your family, in your church, whatever. So that's why you go through the interview process and find out, okay, is this something I can get behind? Is this something I believe in? Is this something I want to stick my toe in the water? Because I'm here to tell you, folks, a lot of people look at different franchises, and that was the first path I went. I looked at a sandwich franchise, right? That's all I'm going to say. And I was amazed at, the cost involved was just wow. But the second one was you didn't make any money your first year. Most businesses don't. You're talking about network marketing. You made the statement. It's not where I'm trading my time for a paycheck. Because here's the thing, that paycheck at a job, you're only making X amount because that's all the formula to pay you, right? You're not getting paid what you're worth.
Right.
That's the other thing too, talking about trading your time for money. Don't sell yourself short. Your time is valuable. Now you've got to learn and things like that. Just like, I went to college. I paid for 4 years when I was in college, and I didn't make a dime while I was in college from the stuff that I was learning, right? It wasn't until I got out of college, but everything's, that's just normal. But you look at starting a business or starting a little side store or starting, joining in working with a network marketing group or something like that. It's like, why aren't I making money day one? Well, it's because you're just learning how to do it. You're in your class period right now. But I agree 100%.
Yeah. Yep.
So, kind of in closing with that, and this is kind of again, we've talked about this before, but I can't stress enough, go out and do something. There is plenty of money to be made. So if you're telling yourself that I just don't have enough money, you can sit there and be a victim, right? And I get there's, unique cases across the board. So, don't hate them on me, but in general terms, there is plenty to be made out there, and there are plenty of people that are willing to help you and show you, just like, us right here, right? We're trying to educate people on what's going on out there, what they can do to kind of control it. But the big factor is you've got to take action. Mm-hmm. You've got to be the one to pull your little red wagon, right? And that's what we all do in life. And if you're willing to do that and step forward, raise your hand and say, hey, I'm looking for something. Again, go through the assessment, figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, figure out what you're passionate about or what you'd like to do, and start looking at it, start having some conversations, right?
Yp.
Anything you want to add on
yourself with people that are doing it, right?
Yeah.
That are in a place that you want to be. So I'm reading that book that you recommended, 6 Months to Six Figures. I'm listening to every chapter like 5 times or really until I memorize it because it's so good.
Yeah, it's solid gold. I can't find the book right now, but
I think everybody watching this, if you haven't listened to / read this book, you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
I would even do that before you look for a side hustle. I'd listen to that first.
Yeah, seriously, that's a great place to start because it kind of gives you the mentality and stuff and the stuff that you're going to face in doing it. But once you get through it, it's like that paper tiger, right? It's perceived fear or whatever the case may be. But once you actually start doing it, it's like, oh, why didn't I do this years ago, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's called 6 Months to Six Figures. It's Peter Vroog, Vroog. Vroog. Yeah, thank you. But I actually had a chance to talk to him after I read the book. I reached out to him on LinkedIn and said, man, I just read your book. It was great. Thanks for putting that out there. And he replied, I mean, great guy. But yeah, you're going to get a lot of gold out of that stuff. But again, take the chance on yourself. I'm going to tell you right now, you can do it. You're worth it. Your family's worth it. And quit settling in life because you don't want to keep living that same year over and over again, right? That's not living. Yep. That's not living at all. Go out and
live in the Groundhog Day.
I know, right? I know. I love that movie, but not for my life. Not for my life. So again, that's we're going to wrap up with that. So that was Money Moves. So hopefully you got a piece of gold out of this or a gold nugget or two. Do me a favor, make a comment below on YouTube or one of your other social media strategies. Hit subscribe on YouTube and, again, click that bell so you know when our next video out. Next week, we've got a lot of things going on. And you and I have just, before we got on here, talked about some personal stuff with regards to what's going on in the COVID situation. My family just had a death in the family. Not going to go into details on that, but I do want to stress about, kind of planning for that estate plan and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. Make sure you're on there. Okay. Make sure you're on there. It's going to be a great show. We're going to have some tools and stuff that you can use to kind of get your financial house in order, so to speak, because you never know, right? You never know. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Wendy, thank you so much for being here with me again. And, it's you're awesome. And I knew this was going to be right up your alley because you are the queen of income. So I hope to get there someday. So I'm on 3 right now, but I need to get to 7. But read that book.
We could come up with a few more.
I know, right? Read that book. Another great book, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. I'll put those both down in the comments. But everybody have a great day and go out and make your money moves. Thanks.
Bye.